As an 80s child, I loved movies such as Tron, Mad Max, and those sorts of things. Um, as a 90s teenager, I do love a bit of horror. I don't really enjoy watching horror movies so much, but the books, the premise, the idea of being doomed to fail is very ingrained into British culture. And as a result, uh, the projects that we're going to talk about today, I think, are pretty cool. I'd really like to know what you think, so please let me know, along with my friend Neil, who's with us today, in the comments below. Come and talk to us on Discord. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. More importantly, it's Friday, it's the Dark Orb, and it's time for Kickstart your weekend. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hello.
It's been
I'm
a
good.
while.
Good. It
Thank you
has.
for
Well,
joining.
it's been a while since I've been on the stream.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Nice
Ah,
to be back.
yeah. I'm quite intrigued and excited by these two things that we're going to talk about today. They're a bit different.
They are. They're both bit different, aren't they? In their own
Mm,
way. They're pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah. We are live, so if you are watching live, then please keep those comments coming in. And oh, to know, it's kind of hard to know where to start. It's been a little while. I've had a few things come through the post which I haven't even managed to open yet, such as Cyborg. It's on the couch behind me, and yeah, just haven't even managed to get the bubble wrap off it. Uh, it's just been a crazy couple of weeks.
I have to at least take the bubble wrap off.
I
If
got
it
it out
comes
of
to
the
the post, I
envelope.
have to at least open it up.
I'm not exaggerating. It is literally in the bubble wrap. I've got the envelope off, and that's gone in the recycling, and then it just came up, and yeah, I should be ashamed. I am ashamed. Let's put it that way. Um, wow. I mean, where should we start? I ran Bluebeard's Bride. That was a lot of fun. Very hard to run if you've never run it before. Definitely worth checking out. We haven't recorded that, but I would love to record it at some point for the stream. And we should probably address the shadow in the room that is Orbtoberfest. So let's see what happens. But it's our intention, like we did last year, to have a little bit of a Halloween focus over the next few weeks. Cover a little bit more in terms of horror gaming, maybe get some actual plays on, as well as focusing more on horror games within Kickstarter Your Weekend and the podcast, etc. So that would be great. Hopefully, you all will enjoy it. Let us know in the comments and all those other places where you can get hold of us, like the Discord. The Discord link is below. We should probably dive in, though, and talk about the first of our two projects. Just going to load that up now. Code Warriors by, we would say, Craig Campbell, as a writer from the US. I would presume probably Craig out there. But let's have a look at this campaign, shall we? And I'm just fighting with technology. Did you get a chance to look at this?
Yeah, it looks really interesting.
That's what I thought.
I haven't backed it yet. I might do. I'm not sure.
There are some concerns, is by far not the appropriate word for me to use. I'm a little disappointed in the current state of the world. Because this isn't actually down to the. I'm just going to try and get this so that it's a bit better. There we go, better shape. The current state of the world means that if we want to get hold of it as a print copy, which is normally what we would go for, then I wonder if we can. I'm still getting used to this interface. It's still not very useful to see. We'll fight with the layout in a second. If you want to get hold of it as a print copy, the shipping to the UK especially is pretty prohibitive, which is a shame. There we go. That's a little bit easier to see. But that's the benefits of our current kind of economic climate, I suppose. The game itself, well, I mean, the tagline is you're a program living in a computer world. The computer is crashing. Will you survive? And immediately that makes me think of a mixture of Tron, as I said earlier, maybe even a little bit of paranoia. Not to mention this idea that the world that you live in it's falling apart. So that's pretty much any post-apocalyptic game, right? So, shades of even things like the Genesis, let alone
Hmm.
Mutant or whatnot, or Umerica. Um, let's have a little look. So, life in the system was simple. Every program had a job, and every job was important. Or so it seemed. It was an ordered society that functioned well, or so it seemed. Then the collapse began. The system is breaking down. Chaos reigns. Aberrants abound. The old structures are gone. Everything is falling apart. In some places, literally. Now you, a program, can be whomever and whatever you want to be. And that's a good thing, because the system needs you. It's maybe the end. Will you say goodbye, world? Or will you fight for a new one? It's tabletop RPG where you portray programming inside a computer world. Again, Tron. Computers crashing, it's apocalypse. Think Tron meets Mad Max with a host of other sci-fi and apocalyptic and inspirations thrown in. What are your immediate thoughts, Mr. Neil?
I love the idea. I've never seen. I mean, I love a post-apocalyptic game very much.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen a game where you play computer program before. That's really pretty cool.
I
I
think you're
like that a
right.
lot. Um, the art is nice as well. It's very nicely designed. I think it looks really cool. They've gone for a sort of, I guess, a cartoony kind of style, which I think really
Yes.
works, and it's colourful and bright, and it really kind of suits the theme, I think. And it's got, again, I think it's got a bit of a sort of an 80s kind of vibe to it, to me, with the art and the kind of fonts they've gone for and stuff like that. But I
Shout
think
out
it's
to
really nice.
Nerdburger Games. That is Craig indeed, who's following us live. So thank you very much for tuning in.
And he's just
Ah,
said the artist, Dan Morrison, is a Brit.
superb, superb. That's great to know. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting concept, and as you said, it's kind of not something that we've necessarily really seen before in an RPG. If we have, not in anything that's kind of been elevated into um, popularity, I suppose. With the closest being, I think, yeah, things like Paranoia, where you're not playing a computer program at all, but you're playing part of I guess, a computerized machine in a way. Um, what else can we see from the campaign itself? Let's dive back in. No, we can't really see anything. Hang on. Let's see if we can get the layouts to work for us. AVs are programs, game programs, who are now thrust into real life or death game. Maybe AVs, I presume, where the celebrity might help and might hinder. Browser, internet, and system browser programs who are dealing with a world where information is no longer reliable. Ops are operating system and background programs forced to traverse a world that no longer operates the way it once did. Pixies are graphics and modeling programs that find themselves with a new world to repair or rebuild. Procs are word processing, email, spreadsheet programs who no longer have to toil at their workaday jobs. Recs are audio, video, playback, and editing programs who now deal with a world in constant flux and need of recording. SABs are screensaver, cleanup, antivirus, and scanning programs, suddenly battling a host of threats greater than they've ever seen before. I'm presuming or interpreting, I wonder if it's better if we throw down there, that, yeah, that might work better, that actually these are like your character classes, maybe?
That was certainly my assumption. Yeah, it reads that way, doesn't it?
Which is cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It appears much like a high-end computer game or simulation, although not an ultra-realistic one by our real-world standards. Buildings, vehicles, terrain, and the like all functions more like a computer game world than our own. The collapse is a breakdown of everything about the system. Landscape changes, building crumble, objects here will become embedded in other objects. I love this idea. It just becomes cheap. Looking at the artwork as well, it's evocative of a few things. I can't quite put my finger on it, but almost things like, I guess, the old TV shows reboot comes to mind a little bit. Kind of 80s cartoons, 90s cartoons. This reminds me very much of an animation movie, I guess, and comics called Heavy Metal, but I don't know why. Maybe just the palette. So it's like for anyone who's listening, it's a, I don't know, it looks like a kind of great big spinning spaceship, but I'm not sure that's what it's supposed to represent. With these robots kind of flying out from it. The game mechanics, I like this. Basically, it's a dice pool game. You have a number of traits, and you roll that number of dice. I think it was, yeah, D8s. It was D8 dice pool game against a target number. And you can spend skills to advance your character, juice to do cool shit, basically. Overload is a track of your, I guess it's like your health. The more overloaded you become, the less healthy you are. And then you have...
nice and simple.
Yeah, exactly, which we really like. I'm a huge fan. Program types equals classes. Great. Cool, thank you. Yeah, so basically, it's a D8 dice pool game, very easy to pick up. I would imagine it's quite simple to get to the table. Character access to a variety of features, upgrades, and gear. They can suffer glitches, which start out bad, when your character eventually harnesses to help them navigate the collapse. Lots of testimonials. I know that Craig's written a bunch of stuff. This is his 18th campaign. So that's really cool. There's obviously a real precedent here for bodies of work. And it's a rule system that, by all accounts, has been used before and has been nominated for Ennies previously. And as we saw, 7 different program types. A discussion about what it means to be a program in a computer. A dynamic game world that changes as the collapse progresses. What I don't know is we've got a handful of 2-page adventure outlines to get you started. That's important because if anyone's anything like me, really struggle to just get things started. Once it's started, it's much easier, but just getting things kind of off the starting line and beginning that campaign is always a challenge. What more can we see? Oh yes, so it's probably worth having a look through the PDF, the campaigns. So basically, this is where it gets a little bit challenging for those of us that aren't in the US. So PDF is $20, and you might think that's quite a lot of money. Actually, I don't. I've been saying this for a while, and Neil, I'd love your opinion on this. But I think that a lot of people who are basically have campaigns running tend to devalue their own work by placing the PDF too low. And certainly when I first got into the hobby, I thought Monty Cook were massively overpricing their PDFs. You'd go on the website and PDFs can be, a lot of money there. But when you actually start thinking about it, and I'm lucky enough to now know a few people who are in the business of creating stuff. I'm not one of them myself, but hiring artists is expensive. Not having a real job so that you can get stuff done, I say real job. I mean, not having an office 9-to-5 job or whatnot so that you can actually produce this content in a timely manner. That's expensive because you're not going to get paid for anything else. Hiring people to proofread or layout, or even just doing some public relations, some marketing. It all adds up. And printing the book and the logistics of the book is not actually the expensive bit.
I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much time has or how many man hours have gone into this game. I imagine a considerable number, and
Yes.
that should be rewarded. There's an awful lot of effort from not just one person, but like you say, a whole team of people: an artist, a layout designer, the writer, maybe playtesters, all sorts.
Yeah.
So no, I think I mean, especially these days, $20.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the shocking exchange rate, which is £19, Kickstarter tells me it's almost 1-to-1.
Just kill me now.
Which for us is pretty dreadful.
It's devastating.
So, in the grand scheme of things, like, this is not an expensive hobby, is it? Really, compared with other hobbies, £19 for a game that's going to give you hours of enjoyment, I think
And
that's
it's
fine. I
always
think
more
it's totally
expensive for the
reasonable.
GM anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
Yeah,
always
be
more
a player.
expensive.
Cost you way less.
Yeah. But that's it. And when you actually look, and some companies actually break down the costs, and yeah, the printing of the book, on, like on paper, literally, uh, £2-3, at least a volume, large volume. It's £2 or £3 for those beautiful books that we spend, you know, 30, 40, 50, £60 for. It can be more than that, obviously, $5 or whatnot, but that's not the real expense. The real expenses is everything else. It's the marketing, it's the logistics, it's a lot of it is stuff that goes into the initial actual product, which at the end of it is a PDF. And the PDF gets sent off with some tweaks here and there to become your printed material, but that's hardly anything compared to the rest. So, moral of the story, don't complain that the PDF is $20. It's fair.
And what I also think is fair, which I like to see, which Nerdburger are doing here, is that if you go for the next level, which is the physical book, then you get the PDF for free. I must admit, I
Yes.
don't like it if you have a PDF level and then the physical book, and then if you want both, you have to pay more again. That does kind of bug me. So
Yes.
yeah, just spending that extra little bit, $40, £37 for the physical book and the PDF for free.
Yep.
Pretty good price. That's all right, isn't it? It's reasonable.
I think that's fair. Absolutely. And then we go up to the international. So what do you get with that? PDF book. Oh, I see. Sorry. So it's the PDF book dice tin. I presume that Nerdburger have realised that the majority of their customers will be from the US. So it just makes sense to, as well with things like filling out your customs forms and all that other rubbish. If you split out the USA and the international, then it just means you can deal with all the stuff that's I've forgotten the word entirely, but basically all the stuff that you're shipping locally ish in one bucket, and then everything else in the other bucket you can deal with separately. So it makes perfect sense. Make sure if you're buying the international non-USA, if you're not in the USA and you buy this as a physical product, that you back the right one. There aren't many, which is really interesting. And
The
I think that's,
international, in fact, is almost sold out.
yes, exactly. Well, no, hang on, 33 left.
Oh no, sorry, I'm reading it the other way around. Yeah,
It's almost sold out. There's only
gone.
33 left.
Yes, well, that is actually not that many.
No, it's not that many at all. And even fewer of the US, 16 left of 60. Now, what you get for that is a hardcover copy of the game. I'd love to know how that's being printed. It might be further down here and I've just missed it. A set of custom 8-sided dice in a custom tin. Digital stretch goals for Canada, the UK, and the European Union. It's a shame that that's not going out to more countries, but I totally get it because everything is broken. What I kind of would like here, and I never thought I would say this because we both know how much I detest drive-through RPG. But given that the shipping to the UK is estimated to be $30, $27, so it's £25 basically, plus knowing the way things are, they'll probably tax us even though books are supposedly exempt. I kind of wish that there was an option for print on demand here.
POD, yeah.
And I hate print on demand so much. I really do. But just for a little while, whilst everything is broken, I guess I'd kind
Just
of like
as
that.
an option. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just as an option, so that I would then go, no, screw that. I want the offset print. But I think, the dice are pretty. Did you see these? They're quite pretty.
I did. They are very nice. They're Q Workshop, and they do make nice dice. Obviously, going with Q Workshop to make the dice was the wrong decision because I hear there's a great company out the UK somewhere that makes really good dice. I can't remember what they're called.
I do know what they're called. They're called Paladin Roleplaying.
Are they?
They are.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I think I've heard of them.
And if I was really well planned, if I'd planned this out properly, and if
You'd
we
have
hadn't
your
just,
discount code already.
yeah, I would. But we've just
I can't
switched.
remember what it is either.
No, we've just switched products that we're doing the streaming with. So It's not loaded in my captions, so I can't show it very quickly.
I'm being flippant, of course. Q Workshop dice are very nice,
They're
made
lovely.
in Europe.
Yeah,
They're always good. And yeah, these ones look quite nice. I love the theme, the blue and blue on black.
they're really
Looks
readable,
really cool.
which is
They are,
uncommon.
aren't they? And actually, Q Workshop dice sometimes I have to say aren't that readable. These ones are nice. I like them. Yeah,
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 yeah.
very good.
Let's catch up here a little bit. So, yeah, No Burger says, yeah, a lot of hours have gone into it. Sanjuro says, A up, or in English, hi. I like the higher price to
Price.
fund community copies. Went back physical if PDF isn't included, exactly. From not me, whomever that is. Print on demand to start. If it goes well enough, we'll get an offset print run. So if that's
Yeah,
the
no,
case,
I thought I'd read that somewhere, but I was
yeah.
looking for it again. And I couldn't see it. Well, that's
So
great then. So I hope they hit that stretch goal.
yeah, but
That would be real.
that makes me wonder then if they are being. I presume that they're being print on demand from drive through to Nerdburger, who will then do the shipping. What I
Yeah,
wonder is
right.
whether or not there would be an option for
A
a
direct
print
to
on demand code that
yeah.
international backers can just
Mm.
kind of buy that as a printed option that will then forego the lovely dice, but then mean that there's
But you
no
get a
shipping
nice.
cost effectively.
Yeah, yeah.
So something to think on.
Hmm.
You know, it's something I would be happy to pay extra for. My issue is not with the price of the campaign. I think it's well priced. I think it's great, but I think the shipping cost for me prohibits it a little bit. Only because we've just moved house and I've just bought a coffee machine so that I can enjoy my delicious the Phil roast coffee beans. And if you have ever thought, I really like my hot beverages, but I wish I had a better mug, then join our Patreon. The top tier level of our Patreon, you get a free Dark Orb mug, which I would love to show you, but mine is
But you
downstairs in
haven't
the
got it.
dishwasher. But if you look on the Discord, I'm sure we can share those out, or have a look on Patreon and you can see a picture of them. They're really pretty. I
They are
love my
very
Dark Orb
nice.
mug. Yeah, because you're not showing yours off either, so
No.
we didn't tell
So
them straight away.
I like the look of this project a lot. The only bit of it's not really even criticism, but the only thing I would like to have seen is when I was reading the description, I found myself with a lot of questions about how the game would actually play.
Mm.
So because I like to think, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to play this game. What kind of thing am I
Hmm.
going to do? And
Yes,
I couldn't get that from the description. And there were a few
like
things
an
that I thought were
example of a
cool.
scenario.
Yeah, or just an idea of even like what is the basis. In Dungeons and Dragons, you're going to go into a dungeon, you're going to kill monsters, you're going to get gold. Okay, cool. I
Yeah.
get it. So what is the standard kind of quest going to be like? That would be nice. And there are a few things where I just would have liked a bit more detail, like the mention of glitches, which says
Mm.
you can suffer glitches which start out bad, but which your character eventually harnesses to help them navigate the collapse. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
But how? What?
Yeah. What
So
is
I
it?
would have liked, yeah, I would have liked, okay, here's an example glitch. Here's how it's going to work in play.
Yeah.
Or even some examples of some of the, I don't know if they're called abilities or skills or whatever they're called in this game, that differ from character class to character class.
Yeah.
Just maybe if we just had one, like a sort of a spread from the book, or even just doesn't even have to be formatted, just a list of here's some example skills, some example abilities, just so I could kind of get a better feel for when I sit down at the table, how is this going to feel? How is it going to play? That would be my only thing that I would like to see a bit more of.
I think that's a really great bit of feedback, and maybe that's something we could see in the updates. So there've been a couple of updates so far. My apologies to Craig for not having picked up that the second one actually is all about there being an offset print run potentially coming. The first one there's been a write up in Forbes, and a little bit more information about like the shipping and stuff. So maybe we could have done a bit better with that. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think this is a really awesome looking game. It's very different from what we've seen before. Just a reminder, this is Code Warriors RPG. I'm just going to scroll back up to the top of the page and reshare it. But I think it's really cool. If you are in any way a computer nerd, like most of us in this hobby seem to be at the moment, if you like the idea of playing as a computer program, if you loved Tron, if you like dungeon crawls, this feels like a great way to take a complete spin on that. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what comes out of this.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it's very, very cool indeed. Check it out. We've got a little bit of time left on this, like just under 4 weeks. So if you are interested in it and you want a physical copy, bearing in mind that as things stand at the moment, the physical copies are limited. Now that, of course, might change further down the line, but for now, well, it depends. If you just want the PDF and a hard copy, it's $40. If you want the physical copy with the tin with the dice, then that is super limited. And I gotta say, as we said earlier on, the dice are gorgeous. And there's not enough games that use the D8 dice pool. Let's face it. That's unusual.
D8's a nice dice.
It is definitely one of my favourites. You know, it's a more stealthy caltrop.
A slightly less caltropy caltrop.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just to clarify, as Nedberger just pointed out, I got a little bit confused in my communication there. So if you get the $40 level, then that's got a hardcover POD straight in through drive-through, which then will be obviously kind of shipped on. That's not limited, but the dice are strictly limited. And considering that they're coming through Q, you know, that's really cool. Really, really cool. Ha! And D8's because 8 bits in a byte. That's a very good reason. Very, very good reason.
Nice.
Love it. So yeah, thank you to Nerdberger for joining us in the comments.
Yes.
Really, really appreciate it. And if we get an opportunity over the next few weeks during the campaign and you want to come on to the show and actually talk about the game and have a conversation, I'll be very up for that if we can make the time zones work for us. Yeah, so there's a shout out there. Check the campaign out. The link is down below. And there's not much more I can say about it. I think it's really awesome and it's definitely worth checking out. Now, the next game, I will get this kind of queued up. But is there anything that that's caught your eye that we should keep our eyes open for, Neil? Have you seen anything kind of advertised that's coming up?
So there is one game that's it's not Kickstarter, it's Game Found, I believe.
Tappity tappity tap tap.
Yeah, tappity tappity tap tap. Because I wasn't expecting you to ask me that, even though we discussed it earlier.
That's because I said we weren't going to talk about it.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
I'm putting you on the spot.
It is. I sent you the link earlier, didn't I? So what did I do with that? I can't remember what it's called.
Excellent.
So yes, there is something.
There's something
and
it's
cool.
coming, and it's really cool. And we'll.
There we go. It's on BackerKit. That's why I couldn't find it. It's called Dead Air Seasons, and it's an apocalyptic game. I very much recommend anyone who's even vaguely interested in apocalyptic games check it out. If you sign up for the notifications, and I've seen this happening. They did it. Monty Cook Games did it for the Weird. This seems to be a new thing that people are doing. If you sign up in advance for the notifications, then if you then carry on to actually back the game, then you get a little freebie. And for the Weird, it was a funky dice. And for Dead Air, there's some kind. I mean, it looks like it. They're calling it, I think, a campaign book, which sounds like quite a big thing as a freebie. So even if you don't, only have the vaguest of interest, it's probably worth signing up for the notifications. You can always cancel later, and then if you do go ahead and back it, then you're just going to get a free bonus. But it looks very cool. It's right up my street.
We've covered quite a lot of post-apoc stuff like
Yeah,
lately, and
yeah.
the next game is a horror game that we'll talk about as well. But I love this. Our ecosystem was dying. All of humanity's host lay in panacea, a scientific miracle that would repair the damage caused by centuries of hubris and neglect. Perhaps it was the sheer bulk of pollution to ingest. Maybe it was a flaw in the design of panacea itself. Whatever the cause, humanity only had the briefest flight of hope before careening to the very brink of extinction. But yeah, it's great. I like the style of that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's well up my
Yeah.
street.
And it kind of makes me think of Vermine, which is something that we'll eventually see.
Yes, I thought that as well. Yeah.
Let's move on and talk about The Zone.
The Zone.
I'm not sure which zone it is. So Zone 3. I've got a travel card. It'll be fine. Little London reference for you.
London Underground joke there for you, folks.
Oh yeah, because we're nothing but cutting edge in this channel. The Zone RPG, surreal play to lose horror tabletop role playing game for 1 to 6 players. Face your obsessions and phobias until only one survives. And I just think it's really, really interesting. So my understanding of this is that first of all, it already exists as a game, as an online game. So the gentleman that wrote this, I've forgotten his name, Raphael D'Amico. My understanding is he's a front-end developer or a coder of some description, and he's written this as a kind of online tabletop game that you can go and play right now, where all these cards and things are virtualized. Completely free. And
full game.
I think we're going to have a good look at it. We'll talk about it in our Discord and maybe get a group together and we'll, either play it offline or maybe even work out if we can stream a game of it. I can guarantee it's not going to be safe for work. 1 to 6 players, only one survives. How does that work for one player? That's a really good question.
It means you have a very good chance of surviving.
Yeah, but basically, this game was already fleshed out, and the Kickstarter is to bring it to print. Tabletop story game of surreal horror. Mutate your friends, play to lose, and have a spooky time in the dark. 1 to 6 players, 2 to 3 hours. And this 2 to 3 hours is very appealing as well, particularly for online gaming, but even more so, even so now with in-person gaming, I kind of feel like the climate has changed a little bit, and long-form games is becoming more of a challenge, or at least, I don't know, like 4 hours feels a lot longer than it did 3 years ago. Maybe I'm just getting old. Maybe that's just that. Maybe it's
I think that's it, Bill.
The core set. I think this is incredible. Core set includes 50 scene cards. You'll see these cards if you look on the online version. There are these cards everywhere. 30 not so easy cards, 14 fate cards plus holographic full tarot size cards. So 40 plus locations, 40 plus motivations, and 7 character archetypes, as well as the operation manual and facilitator cards. What's the idea? Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. But first of all, one thing that's really interesting is that the whole concept is that one of the phases when you play this game around the table is that you kind of get all your stuff together on the table. Then you turn the lights off and you crack a load of glow sticks. Now, you don't have to do that. And obviously, you might think that's a little bit wasteful. There are other ways to do it. You could use, torches or whatnot to kind of create the same mood. And I'm sure there's probably digital like torch glow stick things you can get now which are going to give a similar light. But the idea is, again, it's kind of post-apoc, so you kind of
and having said that, Raphael has clearly put a huge amount of thought into this, and the attention to detail is amazing. He mentions that he's tested dozens of varieties of glow stick to get the exact perfect one that gives the right amount and the right sort of color of light. So I think probably playing it with the glow sticks would be ideal. But of course,
I agree, and
various ways, I'm sure.
Neil, if I may ask, what would you consider to be, within the context of Kickstarter, What does fill level mean for anyone who's never watched the show before?
Well, fill level, of course, is the level that Phil always backs at. Not always, actually,
Frequently
but
has been known to back at.
and it's the highest all-in, full Kahuna, everything, top
And what
level.
comes in the fill level of the Zone RPG, which is incredible.
It's pretty amazing.
Is you get a Nanook 910 protective case to put your game stuff in, 10 Siolume snap lights. These are the lights that Raphael has chosen to be the perfect ones. Poster, stickers, plus of course all those lovely cards. So it's like, from my gathering of this, it's like there's just like 3 books. Was it 3 books? A number of books. Operations manual. Yeah, plus the mutations manual, the twists book, plus lots and lots and lots and lots of cards, and these shiny, beautiful character archetype cards. There was an image somewhere. Here we go. For those of you who are watching, of these holographic foil cards, which are lovely.
They are pretty cool. Yeah, they're amazing.
The 100 plus tarot size cards are printed with beautiful holographic foil finish. So not the 6 or so that's on the screen right now. All of them. That to me is a lovely touch. But we should probably actually have a look through and just get an understanding of what we're looking at here. So, core set, we've kind of gone through that. And there's a lovely image here. We can see the glow sticks and a whole bunch of cards. We've got this, 50 plus sin cards, 30 not so easy cards, 14 fake cards, location cards, motivation cards, facilitated cards in the operations manual. $60 or £60. I guess one thing is we don't have to do a guess anymore. Like, about 2 weeks ago, I would have said, it's about what, 50 quid? Oh, it's really difficult on the brain. Complete set, basically all of that. For $20, you get an additional pack of cards, just to be in the foil sealed thing, like you used to buy, or like, trading cards in stores in the, well, probably still do it now. And 2 more books. And then it jumps up to the containment edition, which is all that other stuff, but you're paying an extra $120 for a bunch of snap lights, a poster, stickers, and that Nanook case. Now, I've got no idea what the retail value is on these things, so, I mean, you could try and do it cheaper, maybe. I've got no idea, I haven't looked. But it's actually really cool.
I love that further down the page, I'm going to save you scrolling down to find it, Phil. Right, sort of quite near the bottom. He says, is it excessive to rock up to a game of the Zone with a protective case that could be used to carry actual hazardous materials from a place like the Zone itself? Or would it be irresponsible to carry a game like the Zone in any other container? I'll leave it for you to decide. I thought that was awesome.
Amazing. And actually, I love this image, which kind of gives you an idea of actually how much stuff you're getting.
It's a lot of stuff, isn't it?
For a couple $100. So, you're paying a lot of money and you are getting a lot of money's worth of stuff. And again, even if we just look at the standard kind of complete tier, which, let's face it, this is what I would probably back at, personally.
Yeah, me too.
It's great. And the reason for that, actually, is not because I think that the other one's overpriced. It's because, much like the reason why I ended up not backing games like Twilight 2000, which came in a fancy tin, is just that those kind of boxes are kind of hard to store on a bookcase. Everything over there is on Billy bookcases. And yeah, you could stick it on the top, but you put it on the top and then it's just going to be sat there looking kind of fugly on the top. And you can't appreciate what it is. Now, if you have more storage space, and certainly in the US, I think, there's a little bit more literal real estate in, for these sorts of things, then money no object. It's amazing. I think it's absolutely stunning in terms of production value. But I'm just more likely to be able to get that complete set on the shelf.
Yeah.
It's really as simple as that. Let's have a look at going back and
So,
go on.
should we talk about what kind of game
Nah,
it is? Because we haven't really said.
nah. Go for it. Go for it.
All right. Well, so this is entirely a storytelling game. There's no GM and there's no dice. The cards are used to drive the game entirely, and there's no. It's not really. It's not. So being a storytelling game, it's not really a game that you win as such. It's just all about creating an interesting story and an interesting sort of immersive experience. And that's all done with the gradual turning of the cards. Even the character creation is the little kind of instruction manual or the online equivalent. You're not supposed to sit down and read it beforehand and then play.
Yeah.
You literally can open the box, take it out, and you start reading page 1 as you start playing, and it tells you what to do. It's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Literally zero prep. And then it takes you through letting the story emerge between the players. I think I had a little look at the online. I'm not going to say I played it because I didn't have time. I just kind of ran through it quickly just to get an idea how it worked. And although you can play it one player, it says it's 1 to 6 players. Personally, I think this kind of game benefits from the interaction and the input from lots of different players. So I actually think with 2+, but I reckon probably the sweet spot is going to be 4, 5, or 6. I think at the higher end where you get everyone chipping in, everyone contributing, because it uses it uses some of the sort of classic improv techniques. So the which ones is it? The not so easy cards. No, is it? Yeah, the not so easy cards is whenever you attempt something where in a normal role playing game you'd roll dice to see if you succeed, anything that's not so easy for your character, you pull a not so easy card. And you've got basically there yes and, yes but, no and no but. And so that's the classic GM technique,
Yes.
isn't it? No, it doesn't work, but and it gives you kind of little prompts and things. So I think it's been really cleverly designed. Another one of the moves that you can do, anyone at any time can declare something's not quite right. And that's a move that any player can do at any time. So the player just says something's not quite right and then says what it is. It could just be one line. But then once that's triggered, one of the other players then has to say, yes, and not only that, yes, and it's worse than that, and then add something to it, and then it passes back to the first player who's said something's not quite right to then take that idea and add it into the story. Really, really nice way of kind of putting a bit of structure around improvisation so that people who are a bit more self-conscious maybe, or a bit newer to it, maybe newer to role-playing games, newer to storytelling games, it's the sort of thing that could be daunting. And I think this game does a fantastic job of putting just enough structure around it to make it more accessible, but without limiting it.
And in terms of what the game actually is, whilst you were doing that, whilst we were talking about that, I managed to find the thing that I was looking for. So this is about it's such a long campaign page, but it's about like a 6th or a 7th of the way down after loads of pictures. A couple of things I'd like to read out. So first of all is the description about what the zone really is. The zone is a journey into a place of beauty and horror that only one character will survive, inspired by Annihilation, Stalker, Roadside Picnic, Uzumaki, and the SCP Foundation. A game about mutating deeply flawed characters to bring them face to face with their deepest phobias and obsessions. Characters are defined in just a few minutes from the thing they want most and their greatest fear. And every part of the game is designed to push a wedge into their psyche to confront them with who they really are. It's not a power fantasy. This is a game where you play to lose, knowing that your fate was already decided at the start. Only one of you will make it, but every single one of you will be pushed to the brink of your capacities. In the zone, the mutations you face are created together, drawn from your character's worst fears and deepest wishes. This is a place where beauty and horror coexist. You will shape the world by going through it. The zone shows you what you most need to see. And there's a wonderful bit of prose here. Welcome, volunteers. I know you've all been wondering what the zone really is, and if the rumours are true. As the 14th expedition, you deserve to know what we know. It's not a lot, but it may help you. It all started with the anomalies, locals calling in to talk radio or visiting their doctors with stories of unseasonal weather, impossible objects, half sightings of unknown creatures, claimed conversations with long dead loved ones. People disappeared. Medical notes described bodies that started changing. I love that sort of language. It's just great. Really evocative.
And that I believe is what the facilitator reads out at the very beginning of the game. That's like the start.
Well, you can just clip what I just read out and then just play that.
Yeah, exactly. You can record that and have Phil beginning every
I should
game.
charge for it. I mean, that's like, paid GM, but only for the first 30 seconds. Microtransactions. 5 reasons to play the zone. You get to make your own horrors. Zero prep and great for beginners. Neil, how many zero prep games have you read or actually run that when you actually get into the weeds of it turn out to be actually quite a bit of prep?
Yes, that's very true. Blades in the Dark is billed as zero prep.
Zero prep once you spent a couple of weeks learning the rules and then having the confidence to, with lots of these actually.
Even then, I ran a couple of sessions that were actually zero prep, and they didn't go that well. And then the ones I prepped went well. So in my book, Blades in the Dark is not a zero prep game. But anyway,
no. But there are a few. I mean, there are some good ones as well. Zero Void by McGuffin and Company. That's great fun. That's minimal prep. You can basically run it from the book, but you still kind of need to know. It doesn't walk you through how to play the game as you open the book up. You still need to, as a GM, you still need to know what's going on. You still need to have some resources available. Not many, but you certainly need more than 10 minutes before the beginning of the game. Let's put it that way. It's different every time. Each zone is a unique, surreal place co-created from characters' obsessions and phobias. That's really important. It means you can replay it, possibly even with the same players, which is really handy, or you can switch who's running the game.
I think you could, because there's enough. I think there's enough sort of options there. So even as you go to different, you pull cards to have different locations that you go through, and even though they have 3 different descriptions, and you choose one of them. So even if you've already drawn the cabin or whatever, and you've already played through the cabin, you just choose one of the other descriptions, and it's a totally different cabin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
Very, very cool indeed. Stats don't matter. We said this earlier on. There's no dice, no stats, no maths, just cards. Now, traditionally, I'm not a huge fan of card-based role-playing games. The few that I've played so far, with a couple of exceptions. Help me out. What's the name of the one that we had on the show that was completely thrown out of my brain now, that we played together?
Card-based. Necrobiotic.
Thank you very much. That was amazing. If you haven't seen that,
is amazing.
And if you're a little bit kind of LGBTQIA+ and you don't mind horror, check out the actual play that we did. But if you're offended by those sorts of things, then we're quite a liberal bunch. So kind of a forewarning for you. Mostly, though, it was quite horror. It was a fairly dark game, wasn't it? But amazing fun.
It was absolutely great. Yeah.
And that just proves that you can have a non-dice, card-only game, and it can work really well. And this even is different from that, because you're not taking the numbers from the cards. They are just set decks. Downside of that, you need those decks in order to play the game, so you'd have to buy the whole caboodle in order to do it. And it's spooky time in the dark. Everything about the zone is designed to be playable in the dark, like a spooky tarot reading or sitting around a campfire. And, of course, the cards are just beautiful. So yeah, check it out. Check out the campaign. They have the digital version of the game linked right from there. And there's a couple of weeks left on this, 32 days. So there's still a month left on the campaign. So give it a go. Play the digital version. See what you think. Have a look through it. There's so much content. It's absolutely stunning.
They're already something like over 700% funded.
Yeah.
10 grand or 9 grand goal UK,
Yeah.
and they're up to 75,500. So doing spectacularly well.
Yeah.
I think for me that I love it when you get a quick start or some way where you can really kind of see what the game is. Here, even better, you can literally play the entire game.
Mm.
It's not limited. It's not a cut down version. It's not shortened. It's the whole game for free.
Yeah.
See what it's like, and then go and get the absolutely amazing foil cards and get the physical and sit around a table with your mates and play it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really cool. I'm not making any promises, but I would love to have a few of us get together and play it. Maybe record that and see what happens. And hey, Raf has actually just joined us.
Hey,
Dude, you've just missed the last 25 minutes of us kind of eventually gushing
about your game.
Exactly, gushing. Both the games that we've talked about today we think are really cool in very different ways. We'd love to. I said this also to Nerdburger Games. Raf, if you have the opportunity, I know you are. I believe you are like -8 from us in terms of time zones. I think you're on the West Coast. West Coast. But if you get the opportunity, it would be absolutely great to chat about it, about the product. We've got a month or so to do that, and in October we tend to focus on horror stuff on this channel. So for those of you who are watching, keep your eyes peeled for on the Dark Orb for Orbtoberfest. We're going to try and get at least 1 or 2 actual plays down over the next 4 weeks of horror games. But check out The Zone and check out Code Warriors, 2 incredible products. We've got a little bit of time left on them, so you might even stretch to your next payday if you need to. I think that's it for today.
Could be.
It's been a blast, hasn't it?
Two very cool games there.
Absolutely.
Quite different.
Very different. Very different.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Neil, tell us again how people can find you and tell us a little bit about Paladin Roleplaying.
Oh, you're too kind. People can find me personally on Discord as Paladin Neil. Drop into the Dark Orb Discord. It's a friendly place. We have some good chats.
These are mutually exclusive.
Yes. Or, of course, if you want some amazing, beautiful dice or other accessories for your tabletop role-playing games, you can check out paladinroleplaying.com, where you can buy cool stuff.
And there is a discount off your first order at Paladin Roleplaying.
Which neither of us can remember.
Neither of us can remember. I'll put it into the comments down below if you're watching, and we'll remind people in Discord as well. So I think it's... I'm not going to hold you to it. I think it's 15% off the first order.
It is.
And I want to say it might just be Dark Orb 15. But I'm going purely off memory. So give that a try.
And if that doesn't work,
have
get one of us up
below. If that doesn't work, come to us on Discord. Well, no, we're excellent at being suboptimal. If it doesn't work, come and talk to us on Discord.
Yoel, I agree completely. He says Paladins are good at defending, not remembering. Yes, exactly.
Rah! I'm going to defend everyone from something. Okay, it's our intention to be back next week, and there'll be more stuff to talk about. I'm not quite sure what we'll be doing. We might do a Casting Without Wizards episode rather than Kickstart Your Weekend. It might be on a different day of the week, but we should be back on. And stay tuned. Keep an eye on the Discord. That's where all the fun stuff happens. And we'll talk to you very soon. Until then, thank you, Neil, for joining. My name's Guru Phil, and we'll see you soon. Until then, I hope your dice rolls are way better than mine, because mine are always terrible. Take care, everyone.
See ya.